I don't know about you, but I don't actually like the feeling of falling. Has anyone experienced being slain by the Holy Spirit? Because I was really sure of myself, saying, hey, this is not gonna happen to me. I will definitely not fall to the ground. It took days, actually. It took days because I really wanted to experience it, right? But at the same time, I didn't think that it would happen to me because, I cannot be hypnotized at all. So I figured maybe that's the same thing, but it actually worked. It actually worked for me. I was slain by the Holy Spirit and I actually fell to the ground. And it was funny because I didn't even think about it. Because, my feet were firmly planted on the ground. I was like, there is no way I'm gonna fall backwards. And then suddenly, next thing you knew, I was flat on my back. What happened? How did you, lift my firm feet off the ground? And just pew! Well, the Holy Spirit. I shall tell you, it was the Holy Spirit. It was funny because somebody was there during the event, and she was like, it was at a church conference, right? And or a retreat, whatever you want to call it. And there was a lady there who was slain by the Holy Spirit. Like, she fell down, and she was like, "Did you see anyone push me? Because I felt somebody push me. That's why I fell to the ground." And we were all like, "No, nobody was even near you, and you just fell." She was slain by the Holy Spirit, and yet she felt somebody push her. It's kind of interesting, actually. That was very interesting. There was a psychologist who was using hypnotism, and so during his talk, he hypnotized the entire room. Right? Out of the entire room that were hypnotized, there were only 2 people who were not hypnotized, and it was me and another headstrong lesbian. Oh, that was my classmate. It was so funny, and we were just like, yeah. Everybody else was doing what the psychologist was telling to do, and we were like looking around going, hey, yeah. This is not working, clearly. Like we're some kind of special. Yeah, it's because we weren't open to it. That was all. You gotta be open to it. Otherwise it doesn't work, Forensic psychology is very interesting, actually. Why it's interesting? It'd be helpful if you actually know self-defense, though. Okay? Because you're gonna be in a room full of crooks. Okay. They're in prison, so they're rehabilitating, okay? But still. Kind of risky there, Risky to be in a room all by yourself. So just keep that in mind. I had a classmate who actually went into it. She went into grad school to get a master's in forensic psychology because she's a black belt, and she thought, oh yeah, I can handle them. And she was also gay. My cohort, like a whole bunch of them were gay. It's kind of funny. But I think she quit after that. I guess it wasn't for her, forensic psychology. I mean, I like studying psychopaths. I think they're interesting. That's why I went into psychology, because of all the psychoses. I do like to watch criminal law and all that kind of stuff. I find it fascinating, but at the same time, I don't really understand criminals and what causes you to do evil things. I don't get it. Why though? But why though, right? Why? I don't know. Oh, initially my undergrad internship was going to be in a juvie hall. And I guess it was really hard for them to get a college student inside a prison. It's not really a prison, it's a juvenile hall. Okay, it's a prison for kids. They're kind of they're like, yeah, it's kind of hard to get you in there, so never mind, right? So yeah, that didn't happen. So they just figured, what would be nice, what would be good idea is to put a college student in with a senior who is kind of perverted and a predator. Yeah, that was a good idea. That was such an experience. I should have reported that guy so that they don't actually put college students like me in there with that guy. But I never did, right? I was so uncomfortable the entire time. Oh, that was so uncomfortable. He just kept hitting on me. I was in that job for like a year. The entire time I was just like, oh, please let him be asleep when I arrive, you know? I just need to do some prescriptions and paperwork and all that kind of stuff. And if he's asleep, it doesn't really matter. As long as I'm there, I put in the hours, good enough, you know? Yeah, that was horrible. I got a job right after and I was like, nah, I'm quitting this one. After my senior internship, it's because after my senior internship, I still stuck around to work there because, you know, it was paying me a good amount of money. I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. I can tolerate him. It's no big deal. Until I couldn't anymore. It was just like escalating as time went on. It was so bad. It's so funny how I say that I like to watch or read about or whatever about criminal law, right? And yet, when I see pastors who just blatantly do criminal things, I just think to myself, how do you justify doing something criminal and call yourself a pastor or Christian or whatever, right? How does that work? I don't understand how you reconcile that in your head. They're just like, oh yeah, I'll just do something criminal and it'll be totally fine. I'm still a Christian. I can still pastor a church. I can still do all these things. Okay, I'm gonna post that. Actually, like when that happened, that pastor did something just totally indespicable, right? I actually talked about it, about the psychology of good and evil and how that actually occurs. I'll post it. I'll post it on YouTube. Once I find it, I think I labeled it, I titled it, The Psychology of Good and Evil. That was like actually a good one. If I do say so myself, it's interesting when that happens, you know? My cousin likes to attend their church. And like they're blatantly homophobic, and then you find out that they're actually doing the Hillsong, like from Australia or the New York branch, where their pastor was actually a sexual predator, and they're like, oh yeah. And the son got caught, right? Like raping somebody and all that kind of stuff. It's just they did a lot of shady things, and they would take their disciples. I think I'll call them disciples or children in their church, whatever you want to call them, right? And they would take them, and they would go and go to clubs, basically, right? Like oh yeah, let's go do our Bible study and discipleship in a club, yeah. And then let's drink some alcohol and do all these things and. Actually, they were doing some shady things with women or people, or you know, like they thought being a sexual predator and raping and and all these kinds of things, you know, is totally Christian-like behavior. I don't understand. And they were like, "Oh yeah, this is totally fine, and we're just gonna go to church right after or whatever and talk about God." This is so acceptable behavior. I don't understand what that was, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. Yeah, so I talked about it during that time and how I related it to the psychology of evil. And basically, because Zimbardo from Stanford was actually the one who studied that from the Stanford prison experiment, right? And all these good students or people who considered themselves to be good people were actually doing some inhumane things to their fellow classmates just because one was classified as prisoner and the other one was classified as prison guard, right? So the prison guards were just dehumanizing the prisoners and just treating them poorly, you know, depriving them of sleep, playing loud music, and just doing such inhumane things to them. And so these students actually years after, when they were interviewed during this documentary, they said, oh yeah, we couldn't believe we did that, and they're really scarred from that experiment. So we can't do such experiments anymore, right? That's considered an inhumane experiment. It's a human experiment that is just crosses the boundaries. So we don't do that in psychology anymore. Because Zimbardo himself actually said that he got carried away as a prison ward, right? They had to reel him in and say, "Hey, you're crossing the line." He got carried away. Oh, so that is why he studied psychology of good and evil. Very interesting, actually. We were actually just talking about cancer and all that kind of stuff. I was telling her about how lung cancer is one of the deadliest cancers. It kills more people than prostate cancer, breast cancer, and another kind of cancer combined. So it's ridiculously deadly. But you know what? It is totally within your control, because 80 to 90% of people who are actually diagnosed with lung cancer is due to the fact that they smoke or used to smoke. Because even if you quit 25 years ago of smoking, smoking, you are still 4 times at risk of lung cancer compared to a non-smoker. Isn't that crazy? Like 25 years is a very long time, right? So you're still at risk. And the rest, like 10 to 20% of people who get lung cancer could be like from secondhand smoke, from environmentals, right? If you work in a place that can cause, stuff in the air and that you inhale and all kinds of stuff. So it's very interesting. So, if you can avoid it, don't smoke anything. Marijuana, cigarettes, tobacco, I don't know what, cigar, whatever. It's the same. You can smoke it. It can cause carcinogens, which can cause lung cancer. And vaping is found to cause lung injury depending on the ingredients. The one that they found to be the ones that's causing lung injury is THC, which you can find in marijuana, and vitamin E that they use actually can cause lung injury, which is very interesting. I got to investigate more on that. But yeah. Vaping, not as crazy as cigarettes, but also dangerous. And actually, it causes you to smoke more because of the flavors, right? It's just also it's a risk for the children because they're like, ooh, it's so pretty. I can make smoke circles and all that kind of stuff. So and the flavors, and so they think that's really cool. Which nicotine is bad for the children. It's like brain killer. You smoke gacha games. Right, not as dangerous for your health, but definitely dangerous for your pocket if you spend. Right? Oh my goodness, like so funny. And you know what? How about what I discovered is that MiHoYo or Genshin is actually gay friendly. That girl totally wants Rana to marry her. Did you read? Did I understand that correctly? Is that me being gay and totally excited about the fact that there's a gay character in Genshin? Although in our minds Eula and Amber are totally a ship, and Beidou and Ningguang are totally a ship, and Raiden Shogun and Yamiko totally a ship, right? So in our gay minds that's totally going on, but but I don't know if that's canon or that's just us, right? Because they make it seem like it. The way they banter with each other, it just seems like it. It's not our fault. We got gay goggles on. For the longest time we had to actually have to read subtext, right? In terms of like Xena, if you remember Xena, the Warrior Princess back in the 90s, I actually enjoyed that show very much. I don't know why she had to pair with Gabriella, because she's kind of like whatever, Gabriella the character. Okay, fine. But you kind of like. You ship them together, right? They're kind of like gay together. But then there's also Gabrielle and Joker, which is the goofball of a warrior. Yeah, so like whatever. I didn't get to finish that yet. Actually, I didn't finish Xena either. I actually shipped Xena and Ares when I was watching it. Back then, when I first discovered it, when I was a teenager. But Ares unfortunately actually died. The actor on the set, there was a freak accident, so he died. So we don't actually get to see the Xena and Ares anymore. Although there's Xena actually had a kid with Ares. It's very cool. I like it.